Welcome to this week's episode of The Better Half. I'm Kyndra de St, and this is Katy Hartley, and we're going to take a look back at what's been going on this week.
That's right, Kyndra. Well, why not jump right into some controversy? Stand-up comedian and political TV host Bill Mahar tweeting something very controversial this weekend. Here's the tweet from Bill Mahar. He says, "Wow, Jesus just expletive Tim Tebow bad. And on Christmas Eve, somewhere in hell, Satan is Tebowing, saying to Hitler, 'Hey, buffaloes, killing them.'" Needless to say, it incited a little bit of an emotional response from people on Twitter. It was blowing up about it. I have to say, I was quite offended myself by this tweet. Kyndra, what do you think?
I think it was really offensive. I mean, I think there's just certain things that you don't touch, even if you're trying to be funny, even if you're a comedian. I just think between Hitler and what we've talked about before with people bringing up slavery with the NBA lockout or the NFL lockout and saying they're being treated like slaves, or anytime people bring Hitler into a conversation, I think, first of all, you're demeaning what the people went through that really dealt with Hitler and what the people went through with slavery. I think you're demeaning what they had to go through. And even if you're trying to be funny, there's still boundaries to me. I just think it's ridiculous. But what do you think about it?
I agree with you. I found it very offensive myself. However, Bill Mahar is known for being controversial. He's a self-proclaimed atheist. He has no qualms about that. But I've sort of come to expect this kind of thing from him. I'm not really surprised that he tweeted something like that. He actually hasn't tweeted since then, so it'll be interesting to see what he sort of comes out with next. But I did find Tim Tebow's tweet from Christmas Eve, that same night that Bill Mahar tweeted that. And Tim Tebow said, "Tough game today, but what's most important is being able to celebrate the birth of our Savior. Merry Christmas, everyone." So I think Tim Tebow comes out on top with that one.
Well, and he didn't react, which is the important thing. I mean, sometimes it's just better not to respond. And noting that you said Bill Mahar has not tweeted since, which means he's also not tweeted any sort of apology or any sort of retraction. But what's sad is that nowadays, because we are come to expect this from him, people, it's like we just kind of let it slide. Like, oh, well, he's controversial. He offends everybody. Let's just let it slide. And I think that's wrong, too. I think people have to be held accountable.
Yeah, well, speaking of being held accountable, Kris Humphries was booed this weekend. I'm sorry, I can't help but laugh because you know that the fans booed him because he is the soon-to-be ex-Kim Kardashian, ex-Mrs. Kim Kardashian, I guess
that
you could
actually
say.
Hasn't been finalized yet. I mean, they were married so short. Couldn't it just be annulled? I mean, do you really have to actually go through like a full-blown divorce?
Well, that's the controversy that Kris Humphries is having because he doesn't believe in divorce. So he wants the marriage.
Oh, please. But he believes in a 72-day marriage and even getting married to someone that you don't even know. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
We'll see about that. But the fans booing him because of his relationship with Kim Kardashian. However, the Nets not doing so terrible this year. They did win their season opener at home, 90-84 against the Wizards. Not off to a bad start.
Well, and the fact that he was actually getting booed, I think it was, actually maybe on the road. I'm not sure if he was being booed by the fans on the road or if it was at home in New Jersey.
It was at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, okay, so it was at Madison Square Garden. But I think the fact that he's getting booed because his wife, ex-wife, whatever, I mean, I think it's stupid. I mean, you know how I feel about the whole relationship in general in the first place. I mean, it's hard for me to even talk about it, this TMZ crap. And if anybody should get booed, it's definitely Kim Kardashian. And I also think that, if they're going to boo him and he's going to win and he's going to put up a double-double, then keep booing him. Yeah. That's how I feel about it.
That's true. It's a good point. And since we're talking about booing, why not get to the Phoenix Suns, who unfortunately started to get booed in the third quarter of their game against the 76ers, off to a very disappointing start. I think everyone can agree with that. Not too much different than last season. They started 2010 1-3, but lots of problems, it looks like, with this team.
Well, and I think the fact that they've gone winless so far and now they're heading on the road, I mean, the fact that you lose your first 2 home games, I mean, those are home games. You want to start off on the right foot. You don't want to start out in the hole, especially at home. But who knows, maybe heading out on the road and kind of getting a break from the home crowd will help them out a little bit. But Steve Nash, he played 17 minutes the other night. I mean, to me, I've not seen that in a long time. He had 1 assist and 6 turnovers in his 17 minutes of play. Usually, when they get down like that, even though they were down by 20, 30 points, you still would have him in there to try to fight back, and he'd be fighting to get back in the game. So I don't know. I'm interested to see how it goes. And, of course, signing Michael Redd and stuff. So we'll see if they can turn it around. It's early, but I'm still a little bit worried.
Well, and that's where the problem seemed to start, was as soon as Steve Nash came out of the game. I think there was like less than 3 minutes left in the first quarter. That's when things started to fall apart. They're back at home this Monday, January 2nd, so we'll be back next week with some more Suns news. Some NFL news: Drew Brees breaking Dan Marino's passing yards in a season, breaking that record this past weekend. But some controversy attached to this as well. People didn't like seeing Drew Brees and the Saints supposedly running up the score, and some controversy attached to Sean Payton calling passing plays instead of running plays when the Saints were up so much on the Falcons. Do you think it was unethical?
I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, first of all, they're all big boys. They're grown men. This isn't Little League. I don't think there has to be like an equal play. You know, everyone has to get equal playing time. I mean, I think that they were just more upset that they were already getting beaten so badly by more than 2 scores, and that was what they were upset about, not so much the fact that Drew Brees, who is a great guy and a great quarterback, and everyone respects him around the league, not so much that he broke the record against them.
And head coach Sean Payton coming out in the presser afterwards, admitting to it, saying, yeah, I probably would have called running plays if it wasn't for the record. I did call the passing plays to see it. I'm happy to see him own that, but I mean, let's move on. It's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I think they probably made way more big of a deal than they needed to, but not surprising. I mean, I think their pride was hurt because they were getting beat so badly on Monday Night Football, and it was expected to be a really good, close game.
Yeah. Well, we're out of time for this week's episode of The Better Half. She's Kyndra de St. Aubin. You can follow her on Twitter at Kyndra620. You can follow me at FunKatie620. We'll see you next week for another episode of The Better Half.